Hi, my name is Andrea Coriali from Elegant Affairs, and today I'm going to make my baked brie with apple chutney and sun-dried cranberries. We're going to begin by making our apple chutney. To start, take 6 tablespoons of butter. That's not good. And add to a hot skillet. Okay, once your butter is melted, you want to take 3 apples that are peeled and sliced. I always like to use Granny Smith apples, but any apple will do. Then you want to add 4 tablespoons of white sugar, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So once you've combined all of your ingredients, you're going to let this mixture cook on a stove, medium to medium-high heat, for approximately 30 minutes. So the apples have been cooking for about 30 minutes, and they look perfect. They're caramelized, they're golden brown, they're soft. I can smell the cinnamon. Absolutely delicious. Now that our apple chutney is completed, we're going to make our baked brie. First, we're going to start with some flour on the surface. You also want to put a little bit on your rolling pin. And you want to put a little bit on top of your dough. So we're rolling out the pastry dough, trying to get as close to the shape of a square as possible. Once you have your square shape, you may want to take a towel and just brush off some of the extra flour that's sitting on top of the dough. Next, you take your wheel of brie. Now you can do this with a wedge of brie, a smaller brie. We happen to have a large brie here. And you're going to place it in the center of the dough. Many recipes call for egg wash. Egg wash is simply 2 eggs beaten well and used very often to brush onto dough to make it golden brown in the oven. I'm going to take my egg wash and I'm going to draw a circle with the brush around the brie. And then I'm going to remove the brie. Now this circle is showing me exactly where I should insert my apples and sun-dried cranberries. So now I'm going to take my apple chutney and I'm going to place it in the center of this ring that I created with the egg wash. Now you want to make sure that your apples are not piping hot, so take them off the stove and let them cool a bit before doing this process. You want to take your apples, lay them around the ring, evenly dispersed. Once all of your apples are in the egg wash ring, you want to kind of flatten it a little bit. Make sure that all the apples are evenly dispersed. Next, we'll be adding our sun-dried cranberries. And don't be afraid, use a generous amount and just sprinkle them right on top of the apple chutney. The combination of the sun-dried cranberries with the apples are just absolutely delicious. A little bit of tart, a little bit of sweet. So now we're ready for our brie. Here I have a large wheel of brie, but you can easily use a wedge of brie or a smaller brie. I'm going to take the brie and place it right on top of the apple chutney and sun-dried cranberry combination. Next, we're going to take that egg wash and we're going to brush the top of the brie. This helps secure the dough in place. Now I'm going to cut a little bit of the excess dough off the corners, and I'm going to make a little slice down the center of each corner. So now I'm going to take the corners of my dough and I want to make sure that the dough is wrapped tightly around the brie. And gently take the top and turn it over, making it the bottom, and place it on a sheet pan with some parchment paper. Once you transfer to the pan, you want to shape it a little bit with your hands and then wipe off that extra flour with your towel. What I've done is taken another piece of puff pastry and I made these 1/2 inch long strips so I can make my lattice work on top of my brie. First step is the egg wash. Take the egg wash and brush the entire top of your brie. I just finished putting down my first 5 strips of dough. And now I'm going to add my second 5 strips and create a beautiful lattice work. Going to start with a puff pastry strip on the bottom and going over and under, lifting every other strip of pastry. We're going to create this basket weave design. Now, when you take your next strip, you're going to alternate. So if you started over here, you're going to lift the strip and start under. So now it'll be under, over, under, over. So now that I've finished with my lattice design, I am going to cut off all of the hanging edges of dough. So just take a knife and go around the perimeter of the brie, getting rid of all of the excess dough. Okay, now, once you get rid of the excess dough, you want to go ahead, press down the edges, and shape this brie. We are now in the final stages. Okay, once you shape that brie, we're simply going to grab our egg wash once again and coat the entire top and sides of the brie. This is going to help give the brie that golden brown color that we all love. So once you finish egg washing the baked brie, you want to put it in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes before placing it in the oven. I've taken my brie out of the refrigerator and I'm going to place it in a 400-degree oven for 15 minutes or until golden brown. My brie is just about ready to come out of the oven. It's been cooking for about 15 to 20 minutes at 400 degrees. It's perfectly golden brown, just the way I like it. Once you take your brie out of the oven, you want to let it rest for about 20 minutes before you put it on a platter. That way the cheese won't ooze all over the place. So I'm taking a spatula and I'm picking up my brie and I'm placing it on a decorative platter. And simply garnish the brie with some really great fresh grapes. And garnish with some delicious crackers. I'm Andrea Coriali from Elegant Affairs, and this is my baked brie with apple chutney and sun-dried cranberries. You're watching IdealChef.com. Now let's get cooking.